Hey, everybody. So today, as we look at the spiritual disciplines, we're looking at the spiritual discipline of simplicity, which may be the most countercultural of all of our spiritual disciplines. Remember, we're talking about the spiritual disciplines as a means of getting our hearts in the right place with God so He can transform and form them into the hearts that He has created them to be, and therefore transform us into the people He made us to be. So, the spiritual disciplines are something all of us should do as a means of setting ourselves before God in worship. We've talked about the discipline of worship. We've talked about the discipline of confession. And today, we're moving from the external outward disciplines to the internal disciplines, and beginning, as I said, with simplicity. I want to begin with a very simple song. Most of this comes from Richard Foster's Celebration of Discipline, and this is maybe a familiar tune, at least, maybe a familiar song. It's an old Quaker hymn, an old Shaker hymn that you may know, but I want you to hear the words. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis the gift to come down where you ought to be, and when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed, to turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right. Simple little tune, simple song, and it was a regular at Shaker meetings because simplicity is what it is all about. I'm going to be using this book for a lot of different things. If you see me looking at it, that's just what I'm doing. I have to read this book because some of the language in here is incredible. Simplicity is simply that. It's finding the simple life. And simplicity is an inward reality that results in an outward lifestyle. If you try to live the outward lifestyle of simplicity without the inward reality of it in your life, you will be courting a deadly duplicity, a deadly legalism. This has just so much good stuff. Listen to this. Contemporary culture lacks both the inward reality and the outward lifestyle of simplicity. We must live in the modern world, and we are affected by its fractured and fragmented state. We are trapped in a maze of competing attachments. One moment we make decisions on the basis of sound reason, and the next moment out of fear of what others might think of us. We have no unity or focus around which our lives are oriented. Wow, powerful stuff from Richard Foster. So I want to talk a little bit about simplicity today. Let me ask you this. How many shirts do you own that you don't wear? How much stuff do you own that you don't even use? If you took everything out of your house and put it in storage, and took out only what you used regularly and put that back in your house, at the end of 1 year, how much stuff would still be in storage because you haven't even looked at it in a year? That is not the life of simplicity. Simplicity begins on the inside. It begins by putting ourselves before God and recognizing that the only thing that matters is the kingdom of God. Seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, His justice, and everything else will be added to you. That's the life of simplicity. It's to say, I don't need to keep up with the Joneses. I don't need more stuff. I don't need to feel good about myself or find security in what I own. I need to seek the kingdom of God. That's it. That's my whole life. I don't have to worry about my job because my job is merely a tool that allows me to seek the kingdom of God. I don't have to worry about friends or about church or even about my family because all of that is secondary to seeking the kingdom of God. It doesn't mean that family doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that we should quit our churches. It simply means that we have to live the simple life of putting the kingdom first. Richard Foster goes on to say quite a bit about that. But there is a piece here that I want to talk about, which is the outward expression of simplicity. Since we're so limited on time, he has 10 steps, 10, that I want to read real quickly. They're short, about the outward discipline of simplicity. Here's the way to live the simple life. How about this? First, buy things for their usefulness rather than their status. How many things do you buy more than you need? More bells and whistles, nicer, more expensive, simply because it's a status symbol? He says, consider your clothes. Most people have no need for more clothes. They buy more not because they need clothes, but because they want to keep up with the fashion. Yikes. Number 2, reject anything that is producing an addiction in you. That can be food. That can be alcohol. That can be collections. That can be Netflix. That can be social media. That can be pretty much anything, because we have such an amazing capacity to get addicted to simple things. Don't buy anything that's producing an addiction in you. Number 3, develop a habit of giving things away. What if every week you went through and decided what you would give away? What if every Christmas and every birthday, when someone gave you a gift, you didn't just take the gift, but you took the gift and then gave something else away, so that you were always netting 0 on every holiday? De-accumulate is the key word. 4th, we'll listen to the wording of this one. I couldn't put this better. Refuse to be propagandized by the custodians of modern gadgetry. Again, refuse to be propagandized by the custodians of modern gadgetry. How many little gadgets do we buy? How many bells and whistles on the things that we have do we buy simply because we get mesmerized by them? He says, don't do that. Absolutely don't. 5th, learn to enjoy things without owning them. Do you have a library card? How many of the books that you've bought recently could you have gotten at the library for free? This isn't about finances. This is about simplicity. As you'll see behind me, ta-da, we have shelves and shelves of books. This is one of my weaknesses. I am a bit of a bibliophile, I will admit. When I was touring in Europe, one of my friends was looking for spoons, one was looking for shot glasses, I was looking at all the bookstores for books, because I just love books. If you look at any earlier blog that was done in my office, you'll see that the entire behind me was just books. So I need to be more simple in my books, and I will commit to doing that. I'm going to simplify my book collection because I don't have to own them. 6th, develop a deeper appreciation for creation. What if instead of Netflix, we used a window and just enjoyed the trees, enjoyed the squirrels running around? If we could find such joy in the simplicity of what God's given us instead of having to go to modern entertainment, I think we'd be a lot happier. 7th, look with a healthy skepticism on all buy now, pay later schemes. If something is telling you you need this, be wary. If something is saying you can have this and you can just pay for it later, watch out. I'm not one that says that all debt is bad. We have very, very little, but college often requires borrowing. Buying a house requires borrowing. There's very few people that can live with no debt. And truthfully, I don't think that that's necessary. However, living with lots of debt, living with a lot of buy now, pay later schemes is not a healthy way to live. All right, that was number 7. Number 8, obey Jesus' instructions about plain, honest speech. You want to get at the inner core of simplicity? See how many words you use in a given day. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Don't make it all frivolous. Don't add a bunch of words to it. Don't go into 8-minute explanations. Just be simple in your speech, and you'll find that translates into your life. 9th, reject anything that breeds the oppression of others. This is one that's really kind of on point for our culture today. What are the things, do you know where the things that you buy come from? It's kind of like dieting. If you keep track of the food that you put in your mouth and you have to write out every recipe to figure out how many calories it is, you find yourself eating less simply because you don't want to go through the work of keeping track. We will buy less if we make it a habit to go out and find out what is entailed in making this thing. Is this slave labor? Are these things coming from countries that don't pay a fair wage? Then don't buy them. Reject anything that breeds the oppression of others. And 10th, the last, shun anything that distracts you from seeking first the kingdom of God. Anything that keeps you from seeking first the kingdom of God should be shunned. Folks, I'm not very good at this, but I can tell you, when I've preached this in the past, and I've done it twice, this particular lifestyle change has made the greatest impact on people of anything that I've ever preached. Simplicity in our culture is countercultural and will change your entire life. So today, think about a few of those. I just listed 10 things you can do. Think about a few of them, and which ones are you willing to take on as a means of getting the inner reality of simplicity, which will then show itself in the outward reality of your life. All right, that's all I have for today. For tomorrow, we're going to look at yet another discipline because we're doing that all week long. So join me again tomorrow, and we'll talk to you soon.